Okay, so today we're going to go over the JavaScript. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull up the Udemy and then literally go through each thing one by one. And if you have questions, like please stop me. But I'm gonna try to get through sections 3 and 4. So it's gonna be a quick I guess you can call it like a quick recap or whatever. Crash course. And my bad for not uploading that video for Sunday. I completely forgot. Like I saw it and then like I just forgot about it. Thanks to Ryan for letting me know. But yeah,
No problem, man. Spirit to do that to you, dog.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, let me I'm just creating a new folder really quick, and I'm just gonna put together a something with an index HTML, some in a JavaScript file. Let me get JS. I'm just gonna call it JS. CD to JS. So I'm gonna make the index.html and the JavaScript files, and then open it up in VS Code.
I don't remember how to link up opening the code in the terminal from the terminal in VS Code. I feel like you showed us that, but I low-key forget.
How to open up the VS Code. I forgot.
Yeah, how to wire it.
There's a setting. I don't even know the setting, to be honest. Hold on, let me grab my phone really quick. Yeah, I don't even know the setting, but I can do a quick search on it and then throw the link in the chat.
In a Slack chat.
Yeah. Oh, it's Slack chat. Slack chat. Yeah. So speaking of Slack, I still have not put y'all into y'all separate Slack channels. I'm gonna do that tonight, actually. Get it out of the way, and y'all can like communicate over Slack. If you have issues with Slack, you can throw it in Instagram, but Slack is like preferable, so we can have all of it there.
Really quick, can me and Dio was working trying to work on getting through Get Bash to start the project. But he said he didn't receive his invite to Slack yet because I was on there and I'm like, do I create a channel and then add them into the channel? I wasn't sure, but he said he didn't even get the invite yet. So if you can remember to that's what he said. It might be in his spam, but I see that he's not in class today, so I just wanted to kind of bring it up.
I sent him the invite. I'll send another one. I thought I sent it to him the first and the second time, but let me I don't know. I'll get his email again and try to send it to him again. I'm not even sure if there's a way to tell everybody that I sent it to.
I could put in the chat his email because I had sent him something through email with his name.
Okay.
I think it was literally.
It's right here. Dio.
Oh.
Maybe let me see. Is that his email? Let me see.
It was his. So it was that exact how it's written, but it was a dot between the first and last name, and it was at gmail.com.
Yeah, that's what I have. Is it that? I just threw it in the chat.
Yeah, because I emailed him last night. Oh, maybe it went to a spam. I'll send him a message on Instagram.
Yeah, I'll resend it also. Maybe he'll get it again.
Okay, thanks.
It won't even wait. Invite people. Here we go. Yeah, invite. Let's try it again. Yeah, it won't even let me because it says that he already exists. Yeah, he should check his spam. Hopefully it's there. All right, cool. So I'm gonna just set up this HTML file. And as always, whenever you're linking JavaScript, you use the script tag to link and the source attribute. You need to just put the name of the file and that links the JavaScript to the HTML. And the reason I had to link it to the HTML is because like I'm because you can't really run JavaScript any other way. You have to run it through the HTML file. And there's one other way to run JavaScript without linking it here, but it's not until like later in the course. It's so yeah, we'll be linking it through the HTML from for now. So let me open this up in the browser. Copy path here, and we may not even have to actually link the HTML file. I mean the JavaScript file, because we can literally use the console to put JavaScript in it. And I'm probably gonna I'll probably do a combination of both. Actually, let me see. So the first thing on the JavaScript are comments. So comments are written like this, 2 lines. Like this is a comment. So even if you don't remember that a comment is 2 lines, what you can literally do is like you can write something and then you can press Command / on your keyboard, and that basically put the comment there for you. And you can also have comments that have like multi-line comments. So literally all I did was press / star and then 1 more star, and all of that other stuff populated for me. You can press enter and it basically keeps everything structured for you. Like this is a multi-line comment. Whichever, I mean, there's no preference between one or the two. It doesn't really matter. I mean, I normally see this when there's a whole bunch of text, when people write a bunch of stuff, but most of the time I see the single line comment. This is a single line comment. Okay. All right, so that's comments. And like I said, stop me if something don't make sense. Strings. So strings are written with double quotes. This is a string, or is written with single quotes. Either way is fine. You can also write it with backticks, and the backtick is the key that's next to the 1 on your keyboard to the left of that. These are all valid strings. Now, the difference between these is that these two versions of a string have to all be on the same line. But a backtick, you can do multiple lines for the backtick. I'm gonna show you real quick. So if I was to do like this, it gives me an error because the whole string is supposed to be on 1 line. I do the same thing with the single quote. It's the exact same thing. But with the backtick, you can do multiple lines inside of the quotes. Now, how useful is this? It's not really used as often, but the good thing about this is that it keeps the formatting for you. And I'm gonna show you like what I mean by that. So I do constant A equals this, and I'm gonna just put like a few tabs here. I'm gonna refresh over here, and then A. So we can already see that all the formatting is there. This is an escape keyword. It basically means new line. So here we had did a new line down here, and then we did a few tabs here, and that's why we see a new line again, and then a few tabs in between, and then a new line here. So it keeps the formatting for you. If we was to put this on HTML, and let me actually do that. Document dot write, and then this should literally just write to the HTML if I remember correctly. Let me see if I refresh. Yeah. Oh wait, it was supposed to keep the formatting. I guess it doesn't do it in this case. But either way, I don't want to get stuck on these strings because it's not really that important. But these are the different types of strings. So let me see what is next.
With those backticks, you can add, those are dynamic because you can add code to it, isn't it?
Right. And that's really the use for it, to be honest. And like this formatting, like the only way we use the different formatting is when we're writing like emails. You know how we went over like HTML email developers, like they'll write they'll write their strings with like backticks if they need to insert anything in there, because it keeps the formatting. Like you want the text to be like formatted a certain way if you're writing like an email or letter or whatever. But that's not really a use case. But yeah, like you said, we can put the variables inside of there, and we'll go over that too. I'll show a quick example.
Quick question, is that you said constant A is equal to a single, is that an apostrophe or is that just a
It's a backtick.
backtick? Okay.
It's right next to the one on your keyboard. To the left of it, you want to see like a little curly squiggle thing, and then under that is the backtick. So if you press that button, you get the backtick. I wish I could zoom in. Yeah, I can zoom in. So that's how it looks. It's like tilted. That's how it looks on the keyboard.
Got it. All right, I see it.
So what is next? Varlet const. So there's different ways to write variables. I just wrote one here, const. Let me just write the different versions. So I'm just gonna say b equals like 2 const c equals 3 let d equals 4. So with these are the three different types of ways to write variables. Now we never want to write a variable with the var keyword, and the reason we don't want to write it with the var keyword is because it's unpredictable. Like we can't tell, we can't control this keyword. I mean this variable. For example, like whenever you're writing an app, the app may be dependent on a variable being a certain value. Like let's say b had to be 2, but like somewhere on like the 1000th in like whatever line, somebody set b to like dog or something like that, and that type of stuff can break your apps. Like and that's why var is not good to use. Instead, we use let and const, and let and const, we always use it within, well, for the most part, we use it within these curly brackets. And this is basically a code block where we're just putting code inside of this. That's all that really is doing. And const and let, it only exists inside of this curly bracket. So if I was to change, let's say D or C, either one of these, like on the 2000 whatever line, it's not going to affect anything inside of this code block. So it means that we're able to have our code be more predictable. We don't have to worry about somebody writing some code later on and breaking something. And let me just quickly show you that it does, that B exists anywhere pretty much, and C and D does not exist at all outside of these curly brackets. I'm just going to do a console log of B really quick, and B again has the var keyword. So let me do it like this. I'll actually put this in backticks because I'm gonna knock out 2 stones with 2 birds with 1 stone. So with backticks, we're able to put variables inside of them, right? So right now I'm going to console log B, because B is a variable here, and we surround that variable with $, and then these curly brackets here. So if I console log this, we're going to see B print out here 2, right? Now the reason this is powerful is because we can start to add text in here. So we can add text and variables inside of this string, which is using the backticks. So if I refresh this, we see var :2 here. If we don't have these curly brackets and this $, it's just going to print out like this with a B and not like 2. So var :B. It doesn't recognize that this is a variable, and that's what we're trying to reference. So that is how you use variables within backticks. And we can see that B does exist outside of because it's B is 2 outside of those curly brackets. Now, if I put C is a constant. I'm just going to log C to the constant. And if I refresh, it says that C is not defined because it does not know what C is. But if I move this inside of this here, all of a sudden, it knows what C is because C exists between those curly brackets. And the same thing for B. I'll just quickly do it for B. We have let here. I mean, for D, for D, this one. So I save this. It says D is not defined because it's outside of this curly bracket. But if I put it in here, save that, refresh, now it knows that D is 4. So that's the difference between between var let and const. And never ever use var. Seriously, I don't even see people at work using var. And if I see somebody at work using var, it's like a problem. It's like, why are you using var? Like you can tell how experienced somebody is by how they write code. And like this is definitely a rookie mistake. I'm using this keyword unless there's a really, really good reason to use it, because everything has a use. But like honestly, if there is a reason to use the var keyword, there's probably a different way to get the same task done. So yeah.
Do like older writers of code still use var, or have they all switched to let as well?
They probably use var actually, and it's a good thing. It's good you brought that up. Some people are stuck in the past. They don't want to like progress. And some older people, they like to do it the way they've been doing it the whole time. And var was let and const. I think it came like 5 or 6 years ago, something like that. But people that's been coding before that probably still use var, to be honest. And I would put money that their apps have bugs in them all the time because of this var keyword, unless they got really good with using different variable names. So you might see it, but it's not good. Like it doesn't look good at all. So yeah.
Quick question, and this is probably it. I don't want to say it's the very basic question, but the file that you pulled up, was that your HTML file or was that your JavaScript file that you, I mean, not the file, but yeah, that screen, right? Did you open your JavaScript file in order to see that, or did you open up an HTML file to see that?
The HTML file. Yeah. And we
just, so I was wondering, because I'm thinking maybe I must have changed my HTML because I'm.
Oh, did you link it? Did you put the script tag?
Hold on, let me see. Yeah,
Probably doesn't know about the JavaScript file.
So let me make sure that was in there. All right. Yeah.
Also app.js if you named it exactly the same. So,
which line did you put that into?
Line 11. You
11.
Yeah, that's a good question. Everybody, y'all want to keep your script tags towards the bottom of the file. Like if we had other stuff here, you want to make sure the script tags are all the way at the bottom. And the reason it's all the way at the bottom is because you want your HTML to load before your JavaScript. Whenever this is read from the browser, it reads from top to bottom. So it's literally going to read all of this stuff first before we even get to the body, which is why we link our CSS here. Before the body loads, we want our CSS to load before the body loads. That way, I don't know if you've ever been to those websites and it's like, it looks really bad for a few seconds and then it loads up the CSS. But keeping the CSS here in the head tag means that it's gonna load before the body loads, which means that whenever your website loads or your app or whatever, all the styles is gonna be there. So it's a quick thing on that. So let's see, what's next? See, right. So scope, I went over that. Console, we just did console, and literally this just logs to the console. As we can see, this is just like an object that is part of JavaScript, and it has a lot of stuff in here. I literally only use the log method. I don't really use anything else in here. Y'all are free to play around with it if y'all want. If I can check this was in here. I feel like this might like make this text red or something like that. So yeah, it makes it red. So you can like log errors like that, which is nice to have because you know you can see what's going on. But I mean, yeah, I never use this, so yeah, you don't really have to. What's next? We have console, we have functions, arrow functions, debugging. Okay, so functions use these curly brackets. So normally when we write code, we want to try to keep it within some kind of code block, these curly brackets like that, because it makes our code more predictable. Now, whenever we start getting into like the apps, you're gonna see it like this. Like you're gonna see code written outside of those curly brackets, which is fine. But for the most part, if you can, I would put the code inside of these curly brackets like this, if you can. Yeah, with functions. So whenever code is in these curly brackets, this code runs right away. Like we saw, you know, if I did this refresh, it logged this, and it just came from line 21. We can see that here on line 21. It automatically ran it for us. But if we want to run this code like on purpose, if we want to like intentionally run it, we got to put this inside of a function. So functions, the way we're going to write them. Yes, I'll send you the HTML now. Talent. Actually, let me send it to you on Slack. That might be better if you have it open. Put it in the chat, but I feel like it might be better here. Yeah, there we go.
That's a good idea.
Mhm.
We learned that the hard way when we were doing some work with our team. And then I totally, my system crashed and all the work we did got deleted. We were chatting it up as opposed to using Slack.
Yeah, I'm glad we make the move to Slack because it really is better. But yeah, this is how you write a function, and this is like the older way of writing a function. You don't really see it written like this anymore. The way you normally see functions written is like this, and this is called an arrow function. The reason it's written like this is because I mean, for one, it is shorter, and we're able to write less code. We don't have to write this function keyword anymore. And there's a bunch of other benefits to this arrow function, and I'll go over that in a second. But for my first point I was making, that we can actually run this code. We can run this code whenever we want. When we want. It doesn't run right away. So if I save this and refresh, we can see that it didn't log out this here. And that's because we put it inside of a function. And the way you run a function is by calling the function. It's called calling the function. Just like you call someone on the phone, you can think of it like that. I'm calling it. So when you call the function, you write the function name, and then you write opening and closing brackets like that. That's how you run the function. So if I go back here and refresh, we can see that it logs to the console now because we called it. And literally it's the exact same thing with this arrow function here. I'm just gonna do this, and I'll say from function 2, and I'm calling function 2. I'll refresh, we can see that this one logs to the console now. Because that's from function 2. And while we're on functions, we're able to pass in variables to functions as well. It's called like parameters. So if you ever remember math class, we had like different parameters within functions. If I wanted to, and let's actually use these backticks. I'll say printing out. So I'll say that, and then I'll use the $ curly brackets to put that variable in there, and I'll say B is $ curly brackets, and I'll put B. These are values that we have to pass in to the function. We have to pass these in. And it works the same way as the arrow function. And I'll show you by running this really quick. So I'm going to call function 2, and I'm not going to pass in any parameters right now. So I go back and refresh. It says A undefined, B undefined, and that's because we didn't pass in anything, right? So if I pass in, let's just say one thing, I'm just going to pass in the number 1. This number represents A. So this should say A colon 1 comma B colon undefined, because I still didn't pass in B. If I go back to the browser, refresh, we see that here. A was passed in, but B is still not passed in. Now, if we pass in B, obviously, let's say 2, we'll get B. Refresh. We got B here now. So that is passed in parameters. Now, I want to show you a quick shortcut with.
I have a question. Is there a way to make the function run without calling it?
No, you have to call it. Well,
So like if I put a, oh, go ahead.
There's a way for the function to call itself as soon as it's defined. I don't even think I taught that. Let me do this. The way you do that, let me comment this out actually. And the way you do that is like this. You wrap the whole function within brackets like this. And then on the outside, actually no, you put that inside curly. Is it curly brackets? I think it's inside of curly brackets, and then you run it like this. Is that it? No, that is not it. Hold on. I think it's like this actually. Yeah, it's like that. All right. So in order to have a function run itself, you surround the function. So this is the function. You have to have it like that. You can't put it into a variable. You have to have the function by itself. You wrap it in these parentheses, and then you call it outside of here like that. Right. I'm gonna comment this out. So if I do that, refresh, we get it called here. And if I pass in those parameters, it looks really weird the way this is written. But this is A and this is B. If I refresh over here, we get A and B. And what I just wrote it's called it's like a self-executing function. So that is the only other way to call a function besides, and technically it's still calling a function, but it's just calling it as soon as it's defined, as soon as you make it. But I wouldn't.
Also, would a function fire off if it had like a trigger in it or something like that, like an event trigger?
Okay, yeah. So if you wanted to trigger the function to call, you can do something like doing a set timeout. Set timeouts, and you call it after, so many seconds or whatever. Other than that, on the front end, I don't think that there's much of a trigger, and unless you do like an on-click in the HTML. If you click on a button and then you want to fire the function when you click the button, that's a way to fire a function actually. Yeah, that's the only ways I can think of.
I have a quick question. On line 26, can you explain that again? What that does?
Yeah. So this is the same as this down here. You know how we literally define the function? It's almost the same. We define the function here, and then we call it the function like that, right? Now we define the function here, and then we call it right after we define it. But we have to put this inside. I don't even think we need these parentheses actually. I feel like you can just call it like, no, we can't. Yeah, so you have to put an actual function inside of here and then call it like that, which is the same as this. We're just passing in the parameters. This is A, and number 2 is B. But I wouldn't get too hung up on this, to be honest. You're rarely going to see it. Like it's not common. Like you probably see it like literally like less than 1% of the time. There's no real reason to use this. Like, yeah. That's that. Let me put this back how so I wouldn't try to remember that way. Yeah, I feel like I need to make that clear.
I just spent all that time writing it out, so I was trying
Yeah,
to see it work.
yeah. I'm trying to. There's so much stuff to coding, and like I'm trying to give y'all exactly like what's used more often, because if we get into the nitty gritty, like there is so much stuff. Like it really is. But all that stuff that when I say so much stuff, all that stuff you pick up over time as you see it. So as long as you know like the basics, you'll be able to look up something if it looks weird, some weird looking syntax or whatever, like what I just did, that that thing in this. If you ever see that somewhere, you just Google it and they'll tell you like what's going on here. But yeah, that's never used. Yeah. All right. So next is, let me see, error functions, debugging, no, let me see, no undefined. Let me just do no, and actually I'll do debugging really quick. So debugging is whenever you actually, what you can do is actually put a debugger in here, and let's see something, C equals 3. And notice I'm using C up here. I want you to notice that. And I'm using C down here as well. But since this is inside of curly brackets, it's not going to interrupt any of this. And that's an example of like, why we should use var. I mean, why we should use constant let. That's a side note. But for this debugger, right? You're able to step through your code and see exactly what's going on. Let's say like you wanted to log C here, right? I mean, let's say you wanted to log A or whatever, but you're like logging C. Obviously, we know that I just put C in here. So if I refresh this, actually let me get rid of these debuggers. Let's say it was way more complicated than this, and you meant to log A, but you log C. You do a refresh, you're like, hold on, B is not defined. I use the same variable. Yeah. Refresh. Why is it hitting that? Okay, it's fine. Hit play. We have 3 and 2. We're like, where did that 3 come from? Like I passed in 1. Why is it logging 3? You just do the debugger. You literally just write debugger here in the code. You go here, do a refresh. The code stops automatically once it gets to the debugger. And once it stops here, you're able to like see exactly what's going on. So if I hover over A, we see that we passed in 1. If I hover over B, I see that we passed in 2. We can press this button here. This is the step button. This steps. It basically goes through the code like incrementally, like the smallest step possible. It's going to go through your code. So the next smallest step is literally running the next line. So if I press this, I'm at line 30. And right now C is undefined because we didn't go past this line yet. If I click this again, now C is 3. Now D is undefined because we're on that line and we didn't set it yet. But once we go past that line, now D is here. And if we go here to the console log, you can like hover over this and it still says 3. And then maybe you can notice that, you actually use variable C instead of A, like you wanted to. And obviously this is a very, very basic example. We'll see more debugging examples once we get to the project section. But like this is basically how it works. And I'll actually do another demonstration of it. Any questions on that so far? So let me just delete this debugger here. Save that, refresh. If you did not want to write debugger here in actual code, what you can do is put a breakpoint here, and this is the same as a debugger. So if I refresh this, it stops here at line 29 because that's why I told it to stop. And if I hit this step button, this is going to go to the next line 30. But if I hit the play button, the play button, it goes to the next debugger automatically. So it skipped over line 30, went straight to line 31 because the play button, you press that and it stops at the next debugger that it sees. And if I click here, right, and I do a refresh, if I wanted to go, so if I let me see, if I wanted to go inside of this function, I have to press this here, this button. This button lets us go inside of the function. So if I click, oh, actually, let me actually show you something different, and then I'll come back to that. So I feel like this is going to help. Let me just do a refresh here, right? I'm gonna put a debugger here, right? Actually, I'm gonna put a debugger here. I'm gonna do a refresh, right? We saw what this one did, right? This goes to the next step, the next possible step. This one does something very similar. You see, it goes to the next step, but it's going to step over a function if ever it gets to a function. So it's going to go to each next line. It goes to the next line, the next one. It's not going to go inside of this, obviously, because none of this got run. We didn't run any of this stuff. So if I press this, we go straight to line 34. If I press this button again, what it's going to do is go straight to line 36. It didn't even go inside of the function, because it's basically going to step over the function. It's not going to go in there. It's going to completely ignore everything inside of it. But if I do a refresh really quick, I'm hit the play button to get back down to this line. If I press this button here, this is going to step into the function. So if I press that, now we're inside of the function, and now we're able to keep going. You can press this, we can press this button, doesn't matter, to be honest. And if I refresh this again, and hit play, go back down here. If I step into this function with this button, now I'm able to press this button also. This button steps out of the function. Let's say that this function was like 20 lines or whatever, 30 lines. And I didn't want to go through every single thing. I just want to go outside of this function and like do my thing or whatever, like continue. I can step out by using this. So right now I'm on line 29. If I press this, it skips line 30 and 31 because it literally came outside of the function and it went to the next line, which was 36. Now, when I say next line, I mean like next executable line, like the next line that some code is actually written on that's being run. If y'all noticed before, when I did the refresh, these lines are being run. We got here to line 24 and then we skipped to line 28 because none of this stuff is being run. So the next executable line is the code is being run. But that's what that means. And I'm gonna do one more refresh. Hit play. Let's go back down here. If I press this button, this incremental step, remember I told you this goes to the next possible line. If I press that, it actually goes inside of the function. So it's like, okay, like I know it's a function here, but I'm not going to step over it because like, there's something else to run inside of it. So this works. And if all of these buttons confuse you, it's fine because practicing makes perfect. And only two buttons you really have to know about is this play button and this step button, because both of them is going to do pretty much what you need to get done. And other buttons, they're really up to you to like play around with. But that's a quick demonstration of how to use the debugger. Let me go get my charger before my computer dies. Be right back.
Hey, Coach Chavez.
You guys start just now or start early?
No, we've been on here for a minute.
Oh, okay.
Chavez, how do I go to that? I'm trying to find the play button on the console. Where do you find that in the console screen?
It should be, is yours more towards the bottom? It might be. So if you have this open, you want to go to source. And this may be at the bottom of your screen. Or maybe it's configured. It looks a little different.
Okay, I see the stop button. And then you can push the, all right. I see the stop button now, but I don't see the play. That I see the buttons now. That these gives me.
Hey, Isaiah, quick question. Is there a way for you to like refresh the debugger?
Debugger, where you
Like say for instance, because say for instance, you go into the debugger and it keeps going to the same functions or something like that. Is there a way to like refresh it or something?
go to the same function, like if if it has like a bug or something like that, like it's doing something.
Yeah. If it's doing something, because like I was running into that last class, I had to kind of like shut it down. Is there a way to like?
I normally just close it and open it back up, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah. Or another thing you can do is just do a complete refresh on the website. Maybe there's something like weird with it. And if you have the debugger open, you can write, I don't know how you do this on Windows, but if you're on Mac, you right click this. Let me press that. So if you're on Mac, you can right click this and do a hard reload. I'm sure a hard reload is some.
Okay.
Yeah. Most of the time, once you close and open it back up, it should work. So yeah.
I think that's what I was looking for. Yeah, it does the same thing. All right.
Yeah. Let me see. What is next? No undefined. So no and undefined. One. So no and undefined are basically different types that you can have. Now this is a string. That's what type that is. These are numbers. We have two more. If I do const a equals, that's what is inside of these curly brackets. So const a equals null. There's another one. If I do b, we can make it undefined like that. So these are two more things that we can set things to. Now I wouldn't use this, to be honest. Like I would never like really use this. If I do a console log, of A and console log of B, like that. Let me comment all of this stuff out. I don't want none of that stuff to interfere. All right, refresh. Over here, it says no. That's line 45 and undefined on line 46. Now, these values, it literally means that nothing is inside of these values, and it just means that these are not really set to anything. But there is a difference between these two. The one big difference is if you just do A by itself like that, and you just don't set it equal to anything. Okay, let. Gotta use let. Oh, when you use constant, you have to set it to a variable. There's no way to use not set it to a variable. But if you use let and you just did like this, you didn't like set it equal to anything. You didn't set equal to like a string or whatever. And you logged out A. What's going to equal is undefined because we didn't define it. Just like we saw when we was passing those variables to functions. It was undefined because we didn't pass it in. Now, what's it called? For null, the only way you get something equal to null is if you purposely set it to null. There's no other way to get null. So this literally has to equal null for me to see that equals null. No one uses this. Like I don't see people setting stuff to null. Maybe on the back end, I'm not even sure if it's on the front end because I don't normally see it. And honestly, I'm not even sure if it's a good practice. I would say it's a bad practice to set something to null. So yeah, those are the other two data types, undefined and null. Let me just keep this here so we can see it. Undefined. And again, never set something equal to these. It's just not seen. No one does it, and there's no real point doing it like this. So. Yeah, it's not that. So let me see. 55. We got 5 minutes left. We went through section 3. Let's see how much of section 4 we can get through before class ends. So Dev Tools is next. I pulled up the Dev Tools already, and I just press F12 on my keyboard, and it pops up here. Now, obviously, there's different ways to put these. What I just pressed was this. This detaches it. If I click this one, it docks it to the left of my screen. If I click this button, it docks it to the bottom. And this one docks it to the left. It's up to you how you want to do it. Your preference, really. Inside of the DevTools, this is basically the equivalent of like looking under the hood. Like if you was like for a car, for example, if you wanted to know like what's going on with a website, you open the DevTools so you can see what's going on. Like there's errors or whatever. There's a few different tabs on here. The Elements tab shows all of our HTML. This is literally what I put in the HTML file. And it shows the CSS also towards the bottom. So if I click on like the script tag, you can see that there's no styling to the script tag besides this. This just removes it from the screen basically. The console tab basically is where everything is logged. When we use console.log, we're logging to this console. And also, whenever it's errors, you want to go to the console to see if there's errors on your website. Like this is probably one of the first places you go, to the console. The source tab, it's not like so important right now, but with the source tab, you're able to see all of your different files. If you click this button here, and if I go here, I can see that I have an HTML file here. Surprised I don't see my JavaScript file. So let me refresh this. Okay, I had to refresh it because it was wrong. So I refreshed it, and now I see the JavaScript file. This shows us all of our files that's being loaded. It loaded the HTML. That's what we have, and it loaded this JavaScript file here. That's all the source tab really is for our use case. And all the other tabs, we don't have to worry about those yet. We'll go over some of those later on. But the most important ones is the element and the console tab for now.
So quick question. When I was, I clicked on the sources, and then I got I got a screen that showed me top, and then it showed me the cloud file, and then it showed me my user. It showed me my desktop. What was the file on my desktop that I was using, and it gave me the index.html. And then it gave me another screen that says breakpoints. And then under that, it says console, what's new.
Yeah.
What are those things? And then it just gave me, under that screen, it gave me two messages. One had an error, my HTML file says, and then other had a warning. Value for key width is invalid, and HTML index.html has to be ignored.
So the rest of these things, I'm not too sure what they are. I mean, the breakpoints, I guess, is just wherever we put here, these debuggers. But in a call stack, this has to deal with like errors. Like it'll show you like all of the errors and like the order at which the errors were fired. That's just like the same as a console, really. And everything else, we're really not going to use. Let me see, down breakpoints. We don't use that. We don't use this. I honestly don't use these at all. Like, yeah, we don't even have to worry about these. I've never used these. There's so many features on here that I never use, and honestly, like I probably can use some of them, and like it may help me, but like, for the most part, I use the bare minimum. But yeah, we don't have to worry about these ones here.
So if you don't want to see that stuff, is there any way of like?
I guess you can drag it down.
Just drag it down. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that is everything we can go over today. So we went over all of section 3, and this dev tools. On Sunday, what we're gonna do is the presentations for everybody. And if you're having problems with Bitbucket, I'm gonna show you a quick something to fix those errors. And if you can't, and if this don't work for y'all, I think for now, I guess try to like send the code to each other over Slack or email. I'll put y'all groups all together, and maybe y'all can send the whole file over to each other. Like one person work on something, one person work on something else, and maybe get together and then combine all of that code together. You know what I mean? It's gonna be tedious because you gotta sit there with somebody and make sure everything's in the right place. But like, I don't want y'all to get stuck necessarily with Bitbucket. Yeah, so for those who are not having issues with Bitbucket, I'll see you on Sunday where we'll do the presentations and finish up section 4, JavaScript tools. And for those who do want to see the Bitbucket solution, you're free to stay.
One more thing.
Yeah.
Can you send us or let us? I guess you'll be doing that with the Slack, letting us know like what team members are still in and which aren't. You know what I mean?
Right. So I have it. Yeah, I'll do it with the Slack. I have it in a spreadsheet also. To it. But let me stop sharing 2 seconds. It's gonna be maintained on Slack though. But let me show you the other place that you can look for now. Okay. Let me share my screen. Yeah. So inside of the Black IO folder, we have this here. It says pre-class assignment, but you can just click on it, and it has the groups in there here. So I guess the only group with 5 members is the leopards so far. Well,
Oh, okay.
We had a few people drop, 3 people.
Okay.
So, yeah. And yeah, and I'll maintain that Slack. So yeah. Any other questions before I show the solution for the Bitbucket issue?
Understood, brother. Safe travels home, brother.
I had a question before you show.
You're on mute, Tyler.
Sorry about that. I was saying before you do that, is it possible? Or I guess I'll do it after you do that. After you do that, I wanted to go over something, my code that I was having problems with the examples you were just going over.
Cool. So all right. So with this Bitbucket thing, somebody was having the same issue. Like they're saying, hey, I keep entering my username and password. It's not taking it. It's the same one. Why is it not working? So normally you'll see this thing pop up. You'll put your username and password to your Bitbucket, and then after you press login, it might say that like the login failed or something like that. You'll also get a prompt in VS Code to put your app password if you set up the app password. And again, the app password is you go here to the this icon with personal settings, and then you go down to app passwords and you create an app password.
Share your screen again, Doc.
Oh shoot! Thank you. Wait, it's not sharing. It's gonna stop sharing.
I see it.
Yeah, I was trying to say it's still up.
Oh, okay, my bad.
Yeah, you may have to refresh.
Yeah. But the app password is here. You click here. And go to personal settings. It might be on a different screen. You might have to look for a different screen. Actually, let me stop sharing and reshare. Maybe it'll pop up on your end. I just reshare. So you go here, and then you go to app. You go to personal settings, and then you go down to app password here. And then you go to create a password, and after you enter these 2 things, it's going to ask for your app password, and that should be like in VS Code. It should be like somewhere up the top. somewhere at the top somewhere. And that's where you put your password. Now, for some reason, all that stuff don't work. To avoid having this screen up at all, is we have to set some global variables for Git, and this is going to stop. This is going to prevent this screen from even popping up. And the way we do this, the way we set this, is by putting in this command. And I'll put this in. I'll put this in a Slack actually. Now,
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
So after it asks me to use my username and password, which is the same one for Bitbucket because that company owns Bitbucket, I had a small gray box and it said Git for Windows, and then it asked me the password for the URL of my Bitbucket. It don't ask me for the app password.
okay. So this. You're saying this screen pops up. You enter that, and then another pop-up shows.
Yes,
Yeah.
can I share my screen? Because I never like closed the box, but I did try like my original Bitbucket password, and then it'd take me back to Git Bash, and it would say that is incorrect.
Yeah, you can share screen and see how it looks.
So this is the box that pops up after I log into that first box that pop up.
Right. And you put the app password, and it didn't work.
So this is where I put the app password. I wasn't sure because
Yeah, I think so. It looks a little different on the Mac, but I think that's the place you gotta put it. Did you copy it down? You have it anywhere saved?
I thought I took a picture, but I'm not gonna lie, I deleted I probably deleted my last like 4 repositories because when I was in Git Bash, I kept coming across like a roadblock when I put in git add origin master. It kept like giving me an issue, so I kept just restarting it over. So I don't recall getting the password, but would I revoke this or just create a new one?
You can create a new one. You can do both actually. Yeah, you can revoke it really quick, just so it won't like mess anything up. Just create a new one. I feel like just create a new one should just work, but because you don't have it, I think it's better to have a new one anyway. You want to check everything there and give it a.
You still need a password even though it's public, even though it's
Yeah,
not.
because I unchecked private, but
If you check the last box on a lot of those, it's gonna automatically check the rest of them for you. It'll do it for right. Yeah. Yeah, because in order to have read access, you have to have write access. So it's like them helping you out. Yeah.
and I label it anything or
Right. Yeah. Anything. Yeah.
I can't see.
Yeah. I will probably stop sharing for like 2 seconds after you create that. So
Okay.
not like online. Yeah. Copy whatever they have, and then try to paste it in that box.
Oh man.
Can I share my screen right quick? 'Cause I just want to quick make sure. So this is what I have on our. We've created.
Drop it. Leave it. Leave it.
We've created
Leave it.
2 different.
Yeah. So do you have an app password, Tyler?
Do I have an app password
Did you create one? Or?
for my first project? Let me see.
Oh, special. Did it work for you?
When I stopped sharing and I clicked on the browser, the little password box went away. So now I'm redoing the create a password because I can't find where the little box went. I think it just disappeared on me.
Okay. Yeah, let me know if that works whenever you do it. So Tyler, you want to go to
Drop it. Drop.
Drop.
Drop. Good boy.
Go to the top right corner where it says TK. Yeah, click that. and go to personal settings. Yeah. And at password is on the left-hand side. Yep. All right, so you do have one, but if you don't have a password, you just need to create a new one. So if you hit that create app password, do you have the password for this one, Tyler?
Do I have the password? That's a good question.
If you don't, it's fine. You can just create a new one. You can create it. Just
Okay.
go to create app password, because it only shows it to you once and it disappears like forever.
Dang, so what do you normally save your passwords for Bitbucket?
To be honest, like this is honestly the first time I actually had to use that password. At work, they normally set it up for us. So all of this stuff that we running into, like we don't have to worry about that ever, like, at work.
So I need to put it in one of my spreadsheets, I guess. 'Cause I have no clue where I did what I did with that. So let me go ahead and do it.
So special, did it work for you? I don't know if you're already done.
Oh,
Oh, I'm pasting now.
stay away from it.
It said invalid credentials.
All right, so let me share my screen really quick. Just to have this on the recording, so that it may help some people. And maybe when we do this step, like that app password is the only thing it's going to ask you for. So to avoid this whole screen, you want to set these global variables here. The way you set those is by using this command right here. And I'll walk y'all through like how this looks and what buttons to press whenever you do that. Let me throw this in here. Run that. And so if I run that in the terminal, go here, and I run it like that. Actually, let me delete it first because I already have here. I pasted it here. So let me just delete this real quick, and I'll redo these steps. But what I have here is all of like the variables that Git has stored. When I mean Git, I mean like the command line. Like when you do like git add, git commit, git push, whatever. Like that is this. Like let me do. Okay, so the way we do it, so you paste in this into the command line. You press that. It gets you to this thing here, and this is like a file on your computer somewhere with text in it. In order to edit this, actually, the next thing you want to do is copy this stuff right here. So I'm gonna put this in Slack as well. Here, I'm gonna copy that. Let's see, paste this into the command line. Okay. Then what you want to do when you're on this screen is you want to press the I key. You're gonna see something pop up here. It's gonna say insert. So I makes this available for you to start like editing. Now I can add like letters and stuff like that in here. So if I go down, press the enter key, I'm gonna just paste in what I had copied. And then, so let me write that step down. So press the I to edit the file, and then paste in the file name. After you paste in this stuff, after you do this paste, what you want to do is press the escape button. That removes the takes us out of insert mode, and then you press :WQ to quit out, to basically write it and then quit it. So now if I go back to that file, we see that it's there. Let me put those steps in there also. So we'll say and press the escape key. Then press that should stop that pop-up from showing, and hopefully, the add password will work after that. So let me X this out. See, I think everybody's saying that solution worked for them. So y'all can try that. And like I said, worst case scenario, if this don't work, I don't want y'all to get stuck on this. Like literally just like pick a section, you know what I mean? Like if somebody want to do the header, somebody want to do the body or whatever, just do that part and then just combine it later on. Like maybe send the code over Slack and say, can you put this HTML down here or wherever? And we'll figure out this Bitbucket thing because I really do want to use this because it's like standard. So and we're gonna figure out a solution for this if the one I put don't work.
So question, once we put in that all of that stuff to avoid going through that step, will we just like clear our bit bash and then like try to redo it to see if it worked, or will we just keep working from there?
Yeah, just keep working from there. It should do it right away. I mean, what I would do just to be safe, I would close out VS Code and then open it back up because sometimes VS Code gets stuck in this weird thing. So I would close out VS Code, close out the terminal. Actually, yeah, just redo the whole thing. Actually, just to make sure because like there's always like some weird stuff going on with like when you do stuff like this. So you close out the whole thing, maybe even delete it and then reclone it back to your computer. And that's probably overkill, but it should definitely take care of any issues if something will come up. So
Okay.
any other questions? All right, cool. So I'll see the rest of y'all on Sunday. Let me stop this.
Are you still able to stick in for a second?
Yeah. I'm gonna just stop real quick.